Hello, my friends. Let me begin with the official cheers and welcome you to another edition of Happy Hour with Doug, where my promise and guarantee to you has always been that I will answer all of your stock market related questions. I will tell tales and rant of stock market topics, and I will do my very best to share my 2 decades of trading experience with you, just so you can become a better trader. And perhaps like no other happy hour before, will my experience prove to be invaluable for you. Because boy, do we have some stuff we got to talk about today. Now, before I get started, I have to say, where do I actually start here? I mean, we're like less than 30 days into 2021, and we've already seen a seize of the nation's capital, a power regime change, and this stock market thing with the Gamestop squeeze that ultimately leads into brokers basically telling you what you can and you cannot trade. I mean, how crazy is this? But I think what's more crazy and unexplainable and something that I have never seen, that no one will ever understand, is how did we reach an event where Donald Trump Jr., Ted Cruz, and AOC all agreed on the same thing? Like, how does that happen? So this is some crazy times. Now, what I want to do with this video are a couple of things. And there's a couple of things I don't want to do. I'm not here to talk to you about short squeezes. You probably already know what that is. And I'm not sitting here just to complain about something. What I want to do, and what you're going to hear me talk about a lot, is experience. I want to shed that 2 decades of experience and let you guys know that what's happening right in front of you is nothing new at Wall Street. Hedge funds have always been a bunch of dirty, backstabbing, manipulative bastards, and Wall Street has always stuffed down the little guy. So when you're sitting there at home right now, I agree with you. And I understand exactly where you're coming from. And right now, more than ever at a time in history, people are unwinding a little. We've talked about this before in past videos. I mean, you're sitting here at this time, I understand you, I hear you. That you're sitting there being told that you can't go someplace, that you can't go to work. And you're forced to stay home, and now you're trying to do something good with your life and learn finance and trying to make a buck for yourself, and you find something good, and now they're telling you can't do that either. So boy, do I understand the anger, and it is justified. And I would love to see that this event turns out to be a catalyst and there's enough people that can get behind something and make some significant change. Also, on that note, I want to share with you why this kind of stuff happens based on my experience. Because again, this is not the first time we've seen this. And I want to do this in 3 different segments throughout the video. I first want to talk to you about Wall Street bets and why I think there's actually something below the surface on here. Don't get me wrong, I love the David and Goliath story. Just like everyone else. I love to hear the little guy take on and stick it to Wall Street. I love it. I hope we stick it to Wall Street too. However, I don't think that's the only thing that happened here. I think there's something a little bit below the surface. To be quite honest with you, it's kind of genius. And I just want to share that thought with you because I'm surprised I'm the only one, I think, up to this point that's had this go through mind. I haven't seen anyone else talk about it. So we're going to do that. I'm also going to talk to you about why they closed your accounts other than just stabbing you in the back. They have another philosophical reason for doing this, which I don't agree with, which isn't right. But I'm going to tell you what their argument's going to be here. And then I want to share you with more of the dirty little secret of Wall Street, that this has always been and continues to be. Ever since I got into the business in '99, there's always been manipulation. There's always been scrupulous acts. And I really do hope that some point, there's energy and power with these new youthful traders to make some change that will stick. Only time will tell. So I want to talk about this Wall Street bets first. As I said, I love the whole David and Goliath story. That's always motivational, and I really love to see it when the little guy takes down the big guy. And I have no sympathy at all for hedge funds. But now when this all started, if you go back to my market mutterings, there was something at the time that kind of left me a little confused. So when we talk about GameStop, if somebody asks me, and I've gotten some questions, is this the first time you've seen anything like GameStop? And the answer is no. If you guys have been trading at all for a couple of years, you remember dry ships? You remember Tilray, T-L-R-Y, Tilray? You remember KBIO? Every year there's a handful of stocks that do these shenanigans, that go through these epic squeezes, that go from $1, $2 to $2, $300. It happens every single year. There's always a bunch of it. In fact, pumping stocks and squeezing stocks is nothing new. In fact, these guys right here, these prominent gurus selling services right here have made a handsome living by buying cheap stocks and selling into their sheep inside of their large chat rooms. So for chat rooms to get some sort of pump going is not something that we have never heard of before. However, there's normally a limit to how far something like that can go. So perhaps that's where something gets started and you start to see this pump, and you can see a stock maybe move from $2 to $10 to $12. But GameStop goes straight up into the $30s or $40 range. And I'm doing this off of memory. I'll post the chart up here. And then it makes this epic squeeze. Now from this point, it takes on a different kind of animal that the other stocks did not take on before. Now, what originally had brought me to this point was when I was talking about the market mutterings, I was saying not only did we see GameStop do this, but across the board, you saw stocks like PLTR, Fubo, JMIA, and dozens of others, Fizz. You saw all of these stocks just start putting on this epic squeeze. And I was thinking to myself, yeah, you can get a couple of retail traders to pump a stock a little bit, but you can't there's too much money involved to get all of these things. There has to be something underneath of the surface here. So getting kind of back on topic, I'm seeing this thing move in just incredible paces. And the first thing that drew my attention to something different was from this Shamash fella here, who bills himself as a sophisticated investor. Now, I've met a lot of sophisticated investors in my time, and there's some sort of hidden rule with social media, is that normally when you have a big position, it's sort of a no-no to announce such a large position on the internet. Consider it like old school mafia. They go knock down a store or rob a bank. They don't go around buying new cars the next day. It's sort of one of these like sort of events. I found that odd. And I also found that odd behavior from a sophisticated investor, because any of you guys that do any sort of trading whatsoever or do technical analysis charts, which may be dinosaur these days, would know that encouraging people to buy or buying such a large position and announcing it on social media when the stock is already up a couple of 100% doesn't make sense. That doesn't make good financial sense. The only way that makes sense is if you know something that other people don't know. Ironically, what happens shortly after that is Elon Musk comes out, tweets the direct link to the Discord chat, to the Wall Street Bets chat. And I'm like, you know what? He's been on social media. He's usually too busy pumping his own stock. Why is he pumping this? He never pumped Tilray, and he should because he loves to smoke weed. He never pumped dry ships. Why is this one different? So a quick Google search, I find Melvin Capital. They start posting Melvin Capital shorts, which uncovers Bed Bath & Beyond and a couple AMC, a couple of other stocks that are on the squeeze list. And I'm like, what is it with Melvin Capital? Well, Melvin Capital used to go around taunting Elon Musk about shorting Tesla. And we all know how Elon Musk feels about shorting stocks. Right? So it kind of makes perfect sense. Now, I'm sure underneath of that, there's more to it. But I'm just a guy trading stocks. I don't get paid for reports and research. So I'm not going to waste all of my time trying to figure out the bottom is. Don't hate the player, hate the game. So I see there's something more behind the surface of that. And it's actually quite brilliant because you can get a whole group of people, this whole divide and conquer sort of scheme that's been around forever. You get the people angry and you can get a movement and a momentum started. Now, I think the reasonings behind that about, squeezing out a hedge fund, again, I have no sympathies for hedge funds, but honestly, Melvin Capital isn't doing anything illegal in that regards. Shorting stocks is not illegal. Now, some people may disagree with it, but just real quickly on that topic, shorting balances out the market. You want to buy a company that does well and performs well and have it make money. But what do you do about all these crappy companies that have terrible management? I mean, we've all worked at a place before, right? Where the management sucked and they were running the company to the ground. And everybody tries to help them as much as they can. But if you're just going to run your company to the ground, you might as well have the legal right to make money off of their stupidity. I mean, that's short selling. It's not necessarily how Musk portrays it, but that's another topic. We'll get to that. So that's how I feel that this Wall Street Bets was more to it. I think this was kind of purposely engineered, and you saw it across the board. Now, the argument could be made why you saw it across the board in other stocks like PLTR, Fubo, and these billions of dollars is maybe other, and maybe this is the reason, other hedge funds and other people short recognized what was happening and started cutting out their short positions as quickly as possible, creating this squeeze. So again, whether I'm right or wrong, I don't know, but I don't think it's just a story. There's too much money involved. There's too much shenanigans involved right now. And I've been around too long, and my gut's telling me there's something if you peel below the layers. It's more than just a bunch of internet techie millennials that decided to do this. Perhaps they got the ball rolling, but something else is involved. Only time will tell. Now the question becomes, is it right what the brokers did by telling these people they can no longer buy it? No, it's not. No, it is not. Okay? That's not cool. And you shouldn't do that. Now, I understand what their thought is not just necessarily that they're protecting hedge funds. I'm sure that has a lot to do with it. I would think their argument is going to be this, that they feel like they're saving the community. Because the stories you never hear of, and some of you actually have heard of them though, is for every KBIO, dry ships, and Tilray, there's a whole group of people that get murdered. There's a whole bunch of people that get murdered on penny stock pump and dumps, and they've been letting that stuff go on for years. So I don't know necessarily if I believe this, but I'm just telling you what I think they're going to try to tell you at this point. And maybe to some degree it's right, but it's still not the right thing to do, if that makes any sense. And I know they think they're protecting people from buying stupid bankrupt assets with PE ratios in the thousands, because we all know GameStop's going to go back to $20 or zero. They all do. Look at Dry Ships, look at Tilray, look at GoPro, look at all these ones. They're all going to go back to zero. This we know. They're bankrupt, and they're bankrupt for a reason, because they can't advance. They're like the blockbuster video. GameStop is like the blockbuster video of our time. So this is nothing new that we're seeing. This is just something that continues to happen over and over again. But I think that's what they're going to say, is this is the reason why that happened. Now, again, I don't agree with it. They think they're protecting the people. And maybe to some degree they are. They're protecting people from themselves. Again, it's not. I actually come from a school, when you trade for 2 decades like I have, I go back to 99 and 2000. They weren't protecting us back then. They let us learn the hard way like everyone else. Same thing happened in 2007 and 2008. People got murdered in the financial crisis. They didn't do anything to help them back then either. So I don't want to fall for the excuses you're trying to help people. I'm fully aware that we live in a free country, and if you go on and I believe, look, there's only so many people out there like myself that's going to tell you how to do something the right way and try to give you tips and pointers. If you want to come into the market and you want to be greedy, you worked for your money. It's your money. You want to frivolously spend it and follow stupidity and buy bankrupt companies and think you're going to get away with it? Well, that's your problem. You're just going to have to learn like the rest of us. That's how I learned how to trade, because I followed the ignorance. I followed the stupidity. I blocked out people trying to help me, and I got steamrolled. I learned my lesson, made my money back in the financial crisis. That's how we do this. That's how it's always been. And that brings me into the last piece, which is the dirty secret of Wall Street. This has always happened. They were pumping companies. In fact, one of the biggest pumpers of all time is Goldman Sachs. Where are they in this whole thing? It was Goldman Sachs and all the banks that created the financial crisis. They knew exactly. It's been documented. They knew exactly what they're doing. Not a single person went to jail. Now you got people out here that they think are freedom fighters like Elon Musk. But Elon Musk has been one of the biggest stock market pumpers of our generation. How many times has he pumped his stocks? How many times has he touted and rubbed it in the face of short sellers? Now this is also comes to a degree of common sense. Again, I'm not saying I agree or disagree. I'm just saying this, it's common sense. If you're going to go around poking the lion, you got to be ready to take on the lion, right? You got to be ready for the fight. So you can't just expect at this point that you can have all of these trillions of dollars at stake here, and people who own the market. You can't have all of these people just sit here and go, oh yeah, we're wrong, we're sorry, we're going to lick our wounds and walk away. No, they're not going to walk away. It's going to create revenge, right? They're going to come after everything. And I think that's what started this whole thing. So we have to be prepared. We have to be prepared to fight. We also have to be understandable with what's happening here. I mean, this is, again, nothing new. It's strange to me that sometimes people like Musk, for example, a big stock pumper. I mean, how many times did President Trump pump the markets? Again, pumping the market is nothing new. I'm not saying I agree or disagree. I'm just simply stating facts that those are the things that are happening. And Wall Street has always been that way. And you have to also understand that these are the rules of the game, and traders like myself have learned to play within the rules, whether we agree with them or we don't. And that's sort of maybe the lesson ultimately that everyone is learning at some point, as much as maybe it sounds like tough love, and I don't mean it to be that way. I'm sharing with you the realities of life. There's always a moral code when it comes to trading, whether you're doing the right thing. Are you trading the right companies? Are you doing the right things? Is everything on the up and up? Is everything legit? And it's not. You come into the business first, you think it's a clean, fair playing field, and it's never been fair. It's never been clean. It's always, like I said, it's always had problems. They didn't protect us back then. They lied to us, They lied to us about things like Enron. They lied to us about the financial quality of companies. We had the thing I talked about, the China hustle, this constant manipulation, this constant lying. They've always done that. And the same very people that are out here now that are acting like your social warriors are the same people that are doing the same thing, right? You're pumping, you're promoting, you're leading the blind in here. So guys, it's really difficult to tell how this ends. One thing I do hope that comes through all of this before it's all said and done is that the new breed of trader, although I question sometimes where they have gone and who they have chosen to lead them, hopefully they look at something like this and with their youthful exuberance, intelligence, and energy can take this fight to a new level that my generation couldn't. Because people back in my day, we just dealt with it and we just worked our way through with it. Maybe you'll create a brokerage account or make trading easier or revolutionize trading for us. I'd really appreciate that, because people like me, we just got used to it and we just dealt with it and we understood it every day we got up. What happens in the market, we've been talking about that since day one. It's not up to me. I don't move the market. I just follow it. And a good example of that is right now, is immediately after realizing that they're mad at the stock market, what's the next reaction to this? That's how I've gotten paid my whole life. And the natural reaction is Bitcoin, right? I know I'm moving a little quick, but the first thing I did was stack down on some Bitcoins and Bitcoin stocks, because what's the anti-establishment asset? The world is ripe for anti-establishment assets. And Bitcoin is the ultimate anti-establishment asset because it's not regulated. So this kind of stuff can go on in a non-regulated environment. It's like take it outside sort of thing. We'll see how that works out. So guys, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for watching this. Let me know how you feel. I know people are emotional right this time, and I agree with you. I really do agree with you here. And I hope this brings on change. And I don't agree with what they've done, but I see why they did it. They're going to tell you that they feel that this was something that was in the best interest. And you know what? To some degree, they are right. They're saving people from themselves. But I also come from the school where, look, you can only do so much for people. You can only save them so much. If they want to go out and blow their money on it, well, damn it, that's their right. Let them do it, right? So, anyway, this will be continued. Until next time, guys, thanks for watching this happy hour. Take care.